Hey everybody, let's continue our discussion on non-destructive actions with Photoshop by talking about the layer panel and layer blend modes. Layer blend modes are represented here in the layer panel. When you're working with them, they're set as a default to normal with an opacity of 100. But you can come up and change both the type of layer blend mode and the opacity that blend mode affects by changing either here or here. There's also this other slider here that says fill that allows you to make a transformation. That is very similar to opacity, but it's actually an action that is connected to the channels more than it is to the blend modes. It's a weird thing to talk about because for the most part, changing opacity seems to have the same visual effect as changing fill. But just know that opacity is connected with the blend modes and fill is connected to the channels. Now, when I'm working here and I'm on normal, what I'm seeing is saturation, luminosity, and hue appearing as fully as it can, sitting on top of the other layers without any interaction. That's what normal means. If I change the opacity of normal down to say like 50%, what happens is that these pixels in the layer jacket 1 become partially selected and they blend with the pixels that are beneath them in Lake 1. And it seems like Lake 1 is coming through a transparency of jacket 1 sitting on top of Lake 1. That is not what's happening. It is not actually truly transparent, but it mimics the effect of transparency. If I bring that back, if I bring that down to 0, then it seems like all I have is the acetate. If I bring it up to 100%, then I have full opacity of the normal blend mode of jacket 1. If I change the blend mode here, then I get different effects. And here's what I mean by effect. The blend mode will change how Photoshop relates jacket 1 to whatever's beneath it in terms of pixel information. It will look at the colors that jacket 1 is sitting on, and depending on the algorithm of the blend mode, transform those colors. So if I go to something like difference, what I'm looking at is a false color image of jacket 1 as it's compared to Lake 1 in relationship to differences in color. The black here represents where the blue of the lake and the blue in the sky are most like each other. And the colors in their saturation extremity and color extremity from black are where things are most different. Okay, so the tool is this like useful way to compare colors and find similarities and differences in between two different types of layers or a layer and the information beneath it. For our intents and purposes, it allows us a visual effect that we can use to transform the layer that has the blend mode applied to it, and allows us to get different kinds of images that we can then play around with. Now, the opacity will work in the same way that it did with the normal blend mode. As I bring this down, it will feel like that blend mode is becoming less and less effective on the layers below it until it is ultimately erased. Okay, the blend mode disappears because it's still in action, but its relationship or interaction with the colors are now at 0. Okay, colors beneath it are now at 0. All right, take some time and play around with those and see what you get. Okay, we'll talk about some greater transformations with it in the next video.